world experience here in Hawaii before they deploy.
There are about 2,600 Red Cross volunteers.
A mess of marine debris that washed up on the Big Island has been burned.
But the Hawaii Wildlife Fund says that's not the way to get rid of it. This photo shows the debris at a remote beach in Ka'u. The nonprofit says someone set 2 fires on April 20th. The largest burned an area of about 15 by 20 feet.
Now this is what the area looks like now. You can see the brown coating on the rocks. That's what's left of the mostly petroleum products. The Hawaii Wildlife Fund says the burning of nets, ropes and plastics threaten native wildlife and their habitats. After the historic flooding and the current eruption, hurricane season is weeks away.
That's why the American Red Cross of Hawaii is looking for more volunteers. Jim Mendoza reports.
There are 50 Red Cross volunteers helping people on the Big Island and 50 still working with flood victims on Kauai and Oahu.
3 disaster response operations at once underscore the need for more people to be trained and ready for the next emergency.
A lot of people want to deploy, but if they want to do that, they need not only the online training, but they also need real-world experience here in Hawaii before they deploy.
There are about 2,600 Red Cross volunteers throughout the state. Sounds like a lot, but consider this. When Tropical Storm Iselle hit in 2014, the Red Cross opened 32 shelters and mobilized 2,100 volunteers. That left few people in reserve.
We really encourage people that want to help. We need your help beforehand. And it's not only to deploy. We need help with fundraising and office work and logistics and all kinds of things.
Red Cross volunteers who work in the field, Red Cross personnel are continuing with damage assessment and casework. If you want to sign up and be called on to help in future emergencies, contact the Red Cross.
The best thing we can do is to get them in the door right now because hurricane season is 2 months away and we are going to need a lot of people for shelters and things.
Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
They do great work out there, that is for sure. They're very much appreciated.
Yeah, you might take them for granted until you're in trouble one of these days and they come to your rescue.
Absolutely.
They have so many times before. We are going to stay on top of this Kilauea eruption. Our news continues next on K5 with more reporting from the lava zone.
Thanks for watching Hawaii News Now at 6. Go to K5 at 6:30 for more on this breaking story.
With the Hawaii News Now mobile app, breaking news is in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza with 5 locations on Oahu. in high definition from KGMB and KHNL. This is your source for breaking news. Hawaii News Now at 5.
Happening now at 5. A call for an immediate evacuation after 2 more vents begin spewing lava in Leilani Estates.
The eruption sent people fleeing from the area.
What happened?
Jump in, Uncle.
Tonight, live team coverage from the Big Island as the brief pause of activity in Puna is now over.
There are now a total of 14 fissures, all in Leilani Estates.
Yeah, the new vents opened up just a few hours ago and destroyed another home. Lava has so far covered some 104 acres and destroyed 36 structures, including 27 homes. The new vents have been described by residents as very active, shooting lava high into the air.
That sent some residents running out of the area. Due to this new outbreak, Hawaii County Civil Defense ordered immediate evacuations from Lani Puna Gardens. We have team coverage tonight. Our Ben Gutierrez is in Pahoa. Leilani Richardson is at the Emergency Operations Center in Hilo.
That's right, but let's go straight to our Mileka Lincoln, who's just outside of Leilani Estates for the very latest. Mileka?
Aloha, Sean, Stephanie. Yes, we are here at Highway 132. It's known as the Y intersection. This is just where it turns into Pohoiki Road as well, which is completely shut down. And that's because this is the road that heads into Lani Puna Gardens. And as you can imagine, officials still assessing the situation, but have determined still completely off limits as a result, again, of those 2 new eruptions that developed in Leilani Estates within the evacuation zone. The message tonight to any resident who may still have been within the Lani Puna Gardens subdivision, even though those mandatory
Boy, it didn't cool off much at all in Kailua Kona. We've got a 70. Dew point is a little lower, so it's feeling pretty cool as we get started. Just be aware, big waves, north shores with some rap east and west. There's the numbers for you, and because of the swell and some breezy trade winds.
Lani Puna Gardens, you should be taking this time now to prepare. And that's because of that very active fissure that we told you, that volcano continuing downslope even from Lani Puna Gardens. You should be taking this time now to prepare. And that's because of that very active fissure that we told you, that 13th eruption that was the one of 2 that occurred this afternoon in Leilani Estates. We are told it has already crossed Leilani Avenue and is making its approach crossing Pohoiki Road as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Mileka Lincoln, live from Pahoa with the very latest. Well, as Mileka mentioned, there are 2 new fissures. Fissure number 13 is at the intersection of Leilani Avenue and Kahukai Road. Geologists say there is a possibility that fissure number 13 could be merging with fissure number 5. And vent number 14 is near Kaupili Street and Leilani Avenue. Both again opened up along that path that's being created in the Leilani Estates area.
We spoke to Governor Ige earlier today. He says he has called the White House and the Federal Emergency Management Authority to tell officials there that he believes the state will need federal help to deal with the eruption and aftermath. Right now, some 300 people are at 2 American Red Cross of Hawaii emergency shelters, while hundreds more affected residents are staying with friends and family. We want to go live now to our Leilani Richardson, who's at the Emergency Operations Center in Hilo. Mahea.
Well, Steph, county officials gave us an update this afternoon, and they say that the Lanipuna subdivision is a smaller subdivision from Leilani Estates. They're dealing with about 300 people, and at this point, they're not aware of any holdouts, but they do have boots on the ground because they know that not everyone got that cell phone alert this afternoon. So they do have county officials, workers going door to door, telling people that this is a mandatory evacuation out of Lanipuna. Now let's go to some video earlier. Around midday today, myself and my photographer were with Leilani Estates residents who were evacuating them, and they were right in between those two new cracks, those two new fissures rather, when they saw a crack open from 2 inches, and again, she said that they are very lucky, and at this point, she's had 3 chances to go.
And then if lava comes out, it initially usually comes out as spatter. Depending on the activity, enough lava may come out to form a lava flow.
Now, Susie Osborne, who you saw earlier, is the head of Kua'okala Charter School, which is closed because of the possible threat. Today, she and her friends were allowed back into her home. She stayed there very briefly, just trying to get out the large from her home when those around her house.
Trailer, so he had this ready so that he could do that at some point. So we're using it as a community kitchen right now.
And he wants to help 3 or 4 more families as long as they have a tent or a minivan like his to sleep in.
We can set them up temporarily, but we need to make sure that they have some space of their own.
He's doing this because he considers himself lucky. Hale still has this place as he ponders the future.
You know, I go up and down. I'm going through it, but Pele wanted it better.
And an R2D2 mailbox. The Star Wars fanatic treasured the gift from his daughter.
Okay, Northern California's wildfires are now fleeing from the lava. Kelena Kealoha, his wife Zoe, and their 2 daughters moved to Leilani Estates on the Big Island from the North Bay area.
I was going to raise my daughters here, but doesn't look like it's going to turn out to be the scenario we hoped.
It's unclear what Kelena and his family plan to do next. For now, they're staying with family in Kona. Well, major natural disasters in Hawaii have made it harder to get new insurance policies here.
But as Rick Daysog reports, even with disaster areas on 3 islands, at this point, it's unlikely that insurers will abandon the market as they have before.
The lava flow on the Big Island that has engulfed dozens of homes so far is just the latest natural disaster to hit Hawaii in the past month. April's historic flooding damaged hundreds of homes on Kauai and East Oahu.
We had, torrential flooding that happened, a few weeks ago. We've got earthquakes now. We've got volcanoes. We have hurricane season is approaching.
But while the back-to-back disasters have stretched emergency management resources thin, the damages so far aren't big enough to disrupt Hawaii's economy or the local insurance market. Right now, damages from the recent flooding and volcano are estimated at around $22 million. By contrast, damages from hurricanes can hit billions. For instance, back in 1992, Hurricane Iniki destroyed thousands of homes and caused more than $3 billion in damage, forcing many insurers to pull out of the local market.
Actually, the hurricane, that is more of a scare for us in the insurance industry. Everybody's on edge.
Hurricane season starts next month. Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
Guy Hagi is up next after the break, and we'll be back with more of our Kilauea eruption coverage.
Aloha mai kākou. It is said that one book, one pen, and one teacher can change the world. Our state's education system suffers from a shortage of qualified kumu. Every school, public and private, faces this issue. Educators are leaving the system faster than they are entering. On average, Hawaii loses 1,100 teachers each year. Is this due to a generation of educators retiring, or the struggles of a career in education? Perhaps it is our high cost of living. Change is needed. The solution is not simple and cannot be solved solely by the government or by one organization or by one sector. It is a challenge that requires community, collective action, and innovation. But we can start today with a simple mahalo, by reaching out to a teacher who positively affected us, by finding a way to bring joy to a teacher in your community. Mahalo e nā kumu.
From Hawaii News Now and your team for severe weather, this is your forecast with Guy Hagi.
With the prevailing trade winds, air quality is not an issue right now for much of the state. Although over on the Big Island, notice the fog plumes coming out from the new eruptions over on the East Rift Zone. And those areas in red are where the sulfur dioxide is the thickest. Again, it's a colorless gas with a very pungent odor, and it's very, very dangerous. And notice it eventually creeps up towards the Kona coast. Now, notice that fog plume going to remain to our south with those breezy winds. But later in the week, we're talking Thursday into Friday, this fog plume might be pushed up because we're expecting lighter winds on Thursday and Friday. For now, we've got trade wind weather. That means a few windward and Mauka showers. Most of the rain has been of the light variety, but it has been damp in that area out near Puna, as well as the east side of Maui and our windward side as well. We got over an inch of rain for some spots along the Ko'olau, and those damp conditions continue into the night. Pretty much the same for Kauai, although they got some showers coming up from the south for the west side. Now, the swell is going to be on the decline tomorrow. The high surf advisory has been tossed out. Still good size, but a messy swell. Not great at all. South Shore is down to 1 to 3, but the box jellyfish are out there, just not worth it. So again, we've got breezy trade wind weather through probably Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the winds lighten up. The air quality might get bad because we're going to see a building amount of fog. And that's going to be the conditions all the way through Friday. And then Saturday, the trade winds come back and save us all.
All right, thank you very much, Guy. Our coverage continues on KHNL at 5:30, and you can count on our team to bring you breaking news updates wherever you are, on air and online, and on our Hawaii News Now Facebook, as well as our Twitter and Instagram. You can also find the very latest on the Kilauea eruption at the very top of our website, hawaiinewsnow.com.
Our web team has been bringing you updates on our website with everything you need to know about the eruption 24/7 to help keep you and your family safe. And that includes updates from Hawaii County Civil Defense as well as law enforcement. You can also find a slideshow and timeline of the eruption.
With the Hawaii News Now mobile app, breaking news is in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza with 5 locations on Oahu. in high definition from KHNL. This is your source for breaking news. Hawaii News Now at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Sean Ching.
And I'm Stephanie Lum. The Kilauea eruption continues for a 6th straight day. After a brief pause in volcanic activity yesterday, there were 2 new eruptions today within Leilani Estates, bringing the total to 14 fissures. Eruption number 13 destroyed a home. In all, 36 structures have been destroyed by lava. 27 of them are homes. 104 acres of land been covered by lava.
Civil Defense this afternoon activated an emergency evacuation alert, urging residents in Lani Puna Gardens to evacuate immediately and head toward Isaac Hale Beach Park. All this as lava from the new fissure appears to be moving towards Pohoiki Road. Dangerous levels of sulfur dioxide are also a concern. The area had been off limits to residents since the first eruption this past Thursday.
Meantime, residents with proper documentation are still being allowed into Leilani Estates on a case-by-case basis to quickly retrieve items from their homes until 6 p.m. We have team coverage tonight. We want to begin with Mileka Lincoln, who has the very latest on the lava activity. Mileka.
Aloha, Steph. Yes, we are outside of Lani Puna Gardens, where, as you mentioned, a mandatory immediate evacuation notice is underway, sent via emergency alert about 2 hours ago. It was sent to those individuals who may have still been in the neighborhood, even though the sulfur dioxide levels over the last several days have been dangerously high. It's not, though, the threat of sulfur poisoning that prompted that alert, but rather the proximity of one of the 2 new eruptions in Leilani Estates. And as that evacuation continues, some important information for those who may still be within the area. If they evacuate now, they need to do so heading Makai toward Isaac Hale Beach Park. That's because Pohoiki Road is closed, heading Mauka toward 130 on the 132 road because of cracks that were spotted on that roadway earlier in the week. So again, the evacuation process needs to take place Makai. As a result of the proximity to Fissure 13, which we have video taken from the scene 2 hours ago when the eruption was confirmed by officials, showing what the situation is like on the ground at Leilani Avenue and Kahukai. This is where an eruption has already claimed 1 house today, the 27th, as you guys mentioned, of 36 structures that have gone down since the eruption first started in Leilani Estates at Mohala Street. That again was 6 days ago. So much has changed. There is a second eruption that did develop today. That's a fissure on Kaupili Street. However, we are told by USGS HVO scientists who were in the field, along with residents who were inside Leilani Estates, preparing to leave and complete their evacuation after being allowed to re-enter today, that fissure is far less active and less of a concern at this time. But again, as we know, the situation here is extremely fluid, which is why officials, Mahea, are being asked right now exactly what the status is of Puna geothermal venture, given its proximity now to Pohoiki Road. There are lots of concerned residents.
That's right, Mileka, and the governor, the county of Hawaii, they all recognize that residents are concerned about it. It's about a mile from the eruptions to Puna geothermal. Now, we asked that question to Administrator Mr. Magno, and he said that he has not been able to see all of the video, but at this point, he wasn't able to confirm if any lava was indeed heading toward PGV. So at this point, we don't know. But earlier today, if we can show some video, we were able to go into the evacuation zone with some Leilani Estates residents, and it was surreal, guys. Really an incredible sight of the new land that was formed, but also the destruction. Now, we went into what's called ground zero, a home that was right in between those 2 new fissures, and a resident says that's when she saw the cracks open. She heard the loud noise, and then everyone was told verbally to get out. Here's what they had to say. Actually, that resident, Susie Osborne, says that the crack initially was 2 inches. It went up to 12 inches and it went down to 8 feet. Very terrifying for her. And she says that she knew when she was evacuating her things for this 3rd time back to her house, getting those large equipments and big furniture out of her house, she knew that she was taking a risk. But at this time, given the danger of the situation, she's probably not going to go back, at least for now. Reporting live from Hilo, I'm Leilani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
All right, thank you so much, Mahia.
Oh, with eruptions and vents opening up since Thursday, hazardous fumes are still a big concern.
Yeah, sulfur dioxide poisoning can be lethal, and so far our trades have been helping to dissipate those fumes. But for how long? Let's check in with meteorologist Jennifer Robbins for the latest on that. Jen?
It sure has for the rest of us, but for Hawaii Island, unhealthy conditions continue. Let's take a closer look. It's a colorless gas transported by the winds, and you can see it has a pungent odor, very acidic. The health concerns, irritated skin, eyes, nose, and also throat, and also respiratory issues as well. And the CO2 emissions can produce very unhealthy volcanic
Hawaiian Electric tells me it's about a 6 to 8 hour job to replace that leaning pole. We could see that it was cracked at the base. From the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker. You're watching Hawaii News Now at 5:30. We'll be back with more right after this.
You're watching Sean Ching and Stephanie Lum on Hawaii News Now, your source for breaking news.
And news from around the world now. Despite protests, the U.S. pulls out of the Iran nuclear deal.
Yeah, President Trump says it'll make the U.S. safer, calling the previous deal, quote, rotten to the core. Blaine Alexander has more on what this could mean for you and your family.
Well, Sean and Stephanie, President Trump has called this a disaster, one of the worst deals he's ever seen. So today's announcement comes as no surprise. The president says that he is now hoping for a better deal, but critics warn that by pulling out of this one, it could have negative effects around the world. With the stroke of a pen, President Trump declaring the U.S. will pull out of the Iran nuclear agreement.
We cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure of the current agreement.
Laying out a list of flaws, President Trump says the deal did not do enough to stop Iran's nuclear development. So now he's reinstating U.S. sanctions, saying he hopes to force Iran back to the bargaining table.
If the regime continues its nuclear aspirations, it will have bigger problems than it has ever had before.
According to international inspectors, Iran is upholding its end of the bargain. The decision wildly unpopular among some of America's closest allies, the French president, German prime minister, and British foreign minister, all in Washington in recent days, hoping to change the president's mind. Today, President Obama, whose administration negotiated the deal, called the decision a serious mistake that erodes U.S. credibility.
North Korea is going to say, how can I make a deal with one American president, and then later another American president can completely tank the deal?
Here at home, questions over how this may hurt your pocket. Though experts say regarding higher gas prices, the wave may have already hit.
A lot of people in the oil market have been expecting the president to withdraw from the deal, so oil prices have been rising already.
Iran will want to make a new deal, the president says, adding he will be ready and willing. And Iran is ready to negotiate, but with the other countries that are still in the deal. President Rouhani warns that if their needs are not met, they're ready to start enriching uranium faster than ever before. In Washington, Blaine Alexander, Hawaii News Now.
Meantime, members of Hawaii's congressional delegation aren't happy about the change. On Twitter, Senator Brian Schott sent out a series of tweets calling it, quote, garbage deal making, and says that moves like this isolate the U.S. on the world stage. And Senator Mazie Hirono said that withdrawing has jeopardized our national security.
Back here at home on the Big Island, a public health warning from the state tonight. Stay out of the water near O'Okala. That's after more than 1,000 gallons of untreated wastewater spilled into the Alialoa Gulch Sunday night. The Department of Health says animal waste from Big Island Dairy may have spilled from the facility. Ka'oha'oha Gulch is also closed because heavy rains may have caused more runoff. Hawaii County Council Chair Valerie Poindexter shot this video of the alleged spill. The dairy has been at the center of a dispute with O'Okala residents who say the dairy is making them sick. The Department of Health is now investigating the spill.
On Oahu, the city announced it's transforming an old dormitory into affordable apartments in Waikiki. The building is on Enna Road near Hobron. Each of the 33 micro units average about 250 square feet and are equipped with air conditioning units. There's also a shared kitchen on each floor. To qualify, a single person can't make more than about $65,000 per year. The city's housing director says about half a dozen units will be reserved for people who are formerly homeless in Waikiki.
What we have found with Housing First is that when we create a stable environment for people, they're much more open and receptive to services. And so that's our approach.
The city is currently looking for a property manager and hopes to start moving people in by this summer.
Well, it was an overcast day for parts of the state, and we saw some rain on the windward side. Let's take you outside live to see what it looks like at Waimea Bay. You can see some cloud cover there, but still looks pretty good so far. Meteorologist Jennifer Robbins is tracking any changes coming her way in her weather forecast after the break.
And we're taking a closer look at the pH scale here. This is by the USGS, and you can see increasing acidity is due to the acid rain. It's about 4.0, which makes it 10 times more acidic than normal rain, which is a big problem. Usually water is fairly neutral, but we're going to see those high acidic levels the next couple of days as well. So we'll be watching that very carefully. As far as wind speeds and direction for the rest of us, the fog conditions have been just confined to Hawaii Island. We've been having the trade winds helping us out anywhere from 10 to 30 miles per hour, but we could see some of that fog sneak into the area as we go into Thursday into Friday. And that's because we will see the winds hit the brakes on Thursday, and then Friday, maybe some of that fog spreading towards the west. So something we'll definitely have to watch on our radar. Also, surf is on its way up on the North Shore, 6 to 9, 3 to 6 on the west side, 1 to 3 on Townside, and 3 to 5 on east-facing shores. We'll have this trade wind flow the next couple of days before those winds slow down on Thursday into Friday.
She's a powerful fundraiser and a champion of Hawaii's keiki.
Loretta Luke Yajima is the board chair for the Children's Museum, leading the effort for more than 30 years. Grace Lee tells us how she got her start.
I've always known that I wanted to work with children and to be a teacher. I think ever since kindergarten when Betty Crooker was my teacher.
And that's exactly what Loretta Luke Yajima did. She taught at multiple places, including Kahio Park Terrace, UH Lab School, and Hanahau'oli, but she found her niche in an unlikely place.
And a group of volunteers came to see me and they said, "We want your help in starting a children's museum." And everybody thinks I'm the founder of the Children's Museum. And I said to them, "What is that?"
Loretta led the effort to open the first children's museum in Hawaii at Volcanic in 1989, and she never looked back.
And the one thing we came away with was, it's not for the faint of heart. It is so much work. So 30 years later, I'm still doing it. And I think it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.
She didn't stop there. Governor Waihee approached her in the mid-1990s and asked if she would like to move and to expand the Children's Museum to Kaka'ako on state land.
The garbage trucks used to go up a ramp and drop the trash, and there were 3 huge furnaces there where they used to burn the city trash. I walked in here and cried.
Never one to back down from a challenge, Loretta eventually opened the 45,000 square foot facility in 1998.
My advice for what it is never give up.
She has raised $23 million for the Children's Museum over the years, never taking home a salary. She is an unpaid volunteer who still goes to work 7 days a week. Her friend and fellow board member, Lauren Wright, has seen the proof.
You can find her up writing a grant in her office. You can find her in the children's restroom fixing a toilet, or she's painting a wall. There's nothing this lady will not do.
Or cannot do.
Or cannot do. Absolutely, right.
Oh, somebody's raining on you. As if working every day of the week, writing grants, brainstorming new exhibits, and managing a museum that has about 125,000 visitors per year isn't enough. Her next chapter, helping to open 100 children's museums in 100 cities in China.
If you really believe in something and feel passionate about it and you're willing to work hard, dreams do come true.
Good job! Grace Lee, Hawaii News Now.
And as any parent will tell you, kids really do love the Children's Museum.
I love that story. Look at all the good she's spreading in the community. Awesome.
But coming up, Keiki Get Creative for Memorial Day. We'll be back with the winners of the city's poster contest after the break.
Selected wardrobe for Hawaii News Now anchors provided by Saks Fifth Avenue. Celebrate Nurses and Teachers Appreciation Week in May with our World of Beauty at Saks Fifth Avenue, Waikiki.
You're watching Hawaii News Now on KHNL, your source for breaking news.
Images of lei created by Hawaii's keiki will be on display at Honolulu Hale and the Kapolei Hale.
Yeah, today the mayor's office announced the winners of this year's Sew a Lei for Memorial Day poster contest. Fourth grader Brandon Koo from Kahala Elementary School took home first place in his category.
Shaka.
That is pretty cool. He's got it. Camille Quindika, an 8th grader from Kapolei Middle School, won her division.
And Kapolei High School's 9th grader Kristen Gadicho won the high school division. All 3 students will be honored at Honolulu Hale tomorrow. Big congratulations to them. I know they spent a lot of work on that.
Yeah, you can tell. Good job.
Yeah, and pretty soon the city will probably be calling for those flowers as well, donations, as we get closer to Memorial Day. Oh, that's going to do it for us here at Hawaii News Now at 5:30. Our coverage of the ongoing Kilauea eruption continues at 6 on KGMB.
Yeah, right now our team is gathering new information in the Leilani Estates and Lani Puna Gardens areas. We'll have the very latest at 6 o'clock on KGMB. You can also find our live reports throughout the night on our Hawaii News Now website and Facebook pages as well.
Stay tuned for more live reports coming your way in just 2 minutes over on KGMB.
With the Hawaii News Now mobile app, breaking news is in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza with 5 locations on Oahu.
Right now at 6, Puna residents scramble as new lava outbreaks prompt an emergency alert.
What happened?
Jump in, Uncle.
Jump in.
And as the quake swarm continues, more cracks in the ground, and they're growing.
A man who lost his home in Leilani Estates along with his vacation rental business considers himself lucky. Find out why he thinks so and how he's trying to help others.
Plus, lost and found. A little girl is rescued on Kauai.
And more federal money on the way to help with the flood disaster.
Okay. My name is Al Bronstein. I'm the state EMS director and injury prevention for the Department of Health. Can you all hear me now? Okay. So I'm pleased to be here tonight. I know this has been long and very arduous. So they've asked me to say a few words about the gas. So the sulfur dioxide, and of course doctors always start talking about things and make it difficult. I will try to make it so it's... So sulfur dioxide is what is the primary agent that's being released from the volcano. That's the primary health effect agent. That's what everybody's concerned about. Now the emissions are actually quite complex. There's many gases that come out, and there's also stones and dust. But the primary compound that we worry about the most is the sulfur dioxide, which is a gas. You can't see it. It does smell like a burnt match, like a kitchen match. You take a kitchen match and you strike it. That's sort of what it smells like. You all could probably tell me better what it smells like. So what it is an oxygen molecule. You know, we all breathe oxygen, but this is an oxygen molecule that has attached to it one atom of sulfur. Hence the name sulfur dioxide. So one sulfur and two oxygens. So this molecule, the problem is that everybody gets concerned about, it's a highly reactive molecule, and it's looking for something to glom onto. In medicine, we use certain drugs that have sulfur attached to it because they're active and they pick things up like lead. Somebody has too much lead in their body, we use a compound with sulfur, and that binds the lead. But this particular gas is very active, and it's looking for something to glom onto. So it likes to stick to mucous membranes, or the linings of the mouth, the nose, the respiratory tract. And when this happens, people experience usually irritation at relatively low levels. And it's a spectrum of symptoms, from the lowest symptom of just some irritation, a little cough maybe, to tearing, because the sulfur dioxide, it reacts with the conjunctiva of the eyes. So we get redness, we get watering, we can get worse. And it reacts through the nose, through the throat, and into the trachea. Now when it hits the lining, and on the lining of all of our respiratory organs, we have what? We got water. So when it hits that, it gloms to the cells and also makes acid. So it's sort of a double whammy, if you will. Now, when we get this reaction, so where the problems come in, it causes tissue swelling. And so that can be present by coughing. People feel chest tightness. They can't catch their breath. And as the concentration goes up, the respiratory system, the pipes can actually shut down because of all the swelling. So that's how people succumb to this problem. And it's a spectrum from a little bit to a lot. So the bronchitis, the bronchospasm, people can get asthma-like symptoms, okay? So that's what's going on. Now, that's in the general, say, healthy population. People who have asthma can develop asthma attacks and have difficulty catching their breath at extremely low levels. So asthmatics, or people with respiratory diseases, are more at risk from the sulfur dioxide, okay? And children are more at risk also because children breathe faster than adults and they process more air. So they take in more of it than the adult does. And also for the adults, people with asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, heart disease, they're more at risk from this sulfur dioxide than a healthy person. So the elderly too have less respiratory reserve, so they're more at risk. So that's basically the problem with sulfur dioxide. Now it's a close relative to the sulfites. And sulfites, some of you may know, are used as preservatives, and some people get allergic reaction. And they don't want products with sulfites, okay? So the good news about sulfur dioxide, as far as we know, it is not a carcinogen. There's no evidence that says exposure over time will cause cancer. There's no real evidence that exposure will hurt the unborn. The problem with anybody who's pregnant is they need enough oxygen to satisfy the woman and the unborn baby. So sulfur dioxide is not something one wants to be around. So in summary, we get a spectrum of these symptoms, and the higher the concentration, the worse it is. Now in toxicology, I'm a medical toxicologist by original training, and I used to be the Poison Center director for Hawaii. There's 55 US poison centers, by the way, and Hawaii has one, and we're all connected through the CDC. So one of the tenets, one of the principles that we follow in toxicology is that the dose determines the poison. And a very bright man in 1450, Paracelsus, said all things are poisonous. It's the dose that determines the poison. So with this gas, we want to limit our exposure. So that's why, as the mayor talked about and other people have talked about, they wanted to bring people out of the area because we really want to limit one's exposure. That is the only treatment for this agent. There are some medical treatments, but it's not specific, and this can make people extremely ill. So we want to make sure people don't get exposed as much as possible. So that's sort of in the nutshell. It's a very reactive molecule, causes a lot of respiratory changes, and we don't want to see that happen in the health department, as well as all of these agencies, the mayor's office, the governor's office, Incident Command, Talmadge, and everybody else is working very, very hard to see that that doesn't happen. And I'm well aware this is very difficult. So I want you to know you have my empathy. So that's the story of sulfur dioxide. There's a question there in the back. Okay. So when the sulfur dioxide comes down, it goes on the dirt, and it can react with water to make an acid. But once it gets in the dirt, it's pretty much done. And so far, the acid issues of just rain and sulfur dioxide, as far as I know, I'll let the USGS talk more, that's not been a real problem. Right now, the major issue has been inhalation, to breathe it into people.
So, you know, I lived in Volcano for a long time. We were on water catchment up there as well. And we had some pretty major doses from Halemau. You can, I think it was baking soda that you put into your water tank to kind of balance the pH. And the other thing that you can do is basically to shelter in place. When you're driving around, close your car up before you get into that environment, run your air conditioning on recirculate, just so you just get the internal air conditioning. And then your houses, make sure you close the windows up before any SO2 come around, and you should be okay.
Concerns about acid rain. Guy Huggy joins us with the first forecast. Guy.
Well, that's right, Lynn. Whenever you get sulfur dioxide going into the atmosphere, there's a chance for acid rain to form. It could be either wet or dry. We're talking rain or fog, even dust particles. And none of it's good. It can cause a host of health problems, even damage the environment. Now, as far as the volcanic emissions, the forecast is for increasing amounts coming from the new eruptions. And that means dangerous air quality for the communities downwind. The red is where the concentrations are the highest. But with the brisk brisk trade winds. The plume will actually be pushed to our south for the rest of the state all the way through tomorrow. But I tell you what, starting on Thursday, we're thinking that light winds and sea breezes will push the dirty air up the island chain, so no matter where you live, it'll be an issue. I'll have the rest of the forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Guy, and you can count on our team to bring you breaking updates wherever you are, on air and online, and on our Hawaii News Now Facebook and our Twitter and Instagram pages. You can also find the latest on the eruption at the top of our website, hawaiinewsnow.com.
Still ahead on the show, a baby's cry on this rocky shoreline leads to a shocking discovery. We'll hear from the woman who rushed to help.
Plus another wastewater spill from a Big Island dairy farm with a history of trouble. Next on KGMB.
See all that in there? All that right there is blankets. One lady came in with 4 futons. They never give them to nobody. They will go put them inside the back here. There's seniors outside here, one with a broken hip, rods, metal plates, and it's to their discretion. Why? Why is that? Why is that? So this lady gonna suffer lying down on top of the hard cot while we get all these kind of supplies in here, hidden. And the reason why in video that 3 ladies there, because they made boxes of food and they claim that they're gonna go from here to the Ke'au site, and they're gonna deliver those cases of food there. But yet they don't can even give food over here, but they're gonna go take them to Ke'au, which supposed to only have 15 people.
Look at all that stuff. These are all the blankets and everybody's freezing. Boxes of blankets, everybody's freezing.
I like to know where they just put that 4 brand new mattresses. Look at all the dog food, look at all the pet food in there. Cases of diapers. This sucks. I mean, this really sucks. Look at that.
Where did those futons go? I don't see them in here. The lady had like 4 of them.
Yeah. In on car, guaranteed. You went to the sun. Wait, you get the key. I like to know where the damn where they went hide the futons that lady went just bring from the side.
Where's the futons?
Oh, right there. Look, people.
Right here.
Right there. You see that? Look. Oh, more than 4. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All these cases of water, all these diapers.
There's all the bread that was pulled up that I didn't want to go bad.
Yeah, look, cases of food, bread.
Spam for days. Nobody's cooking nothing.
You get all these cases of
A helicopter pilot helping with flood recovery efforts on Kauai is...
That we have kupunas freezing outside. Look, white blankets. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to just ask
Here go Auntie Willie. Auntie Willie. Yeah. This is my girl, Loke.
Hi, Loke.
Hi, Auntie.
Taking my picture.
You know mine. I like ask one question.
Like ask one question. And you're going to videotape?
I'm videoing you.
Why?
Because we still working at the other side tent.
Oh, this is, wait. I'm still in the interview with this one from Maui.
I just like one question. Do you have a mattress on your cot? Yes or no?
No.
Does it hurt when you sleep on it, Auntie? You uncomfortable or comfortable?
No, we put blankets.
Yeah, but you uncomfortable, yeah?
Well, it's just cold when you sleep with with the cart. When we go get the blanket and we put on top of the hali, we put on top so your back don't get cold.
Okay. But you get 6 brand new folded mattresses in here right now. I video them just now before I walk. That's what I walked out from. And there's 5 boxes of blankets in there. But yet you guys know more. So I like you know, and since you guys from Maui to know, and this can go on the Facebook on Recover Pahoa.
You folks
So,
are the most
are you guys,
incredible, wonderful, beautiful
to want to know why
people
it's
in
been
the
stored?
world. We
Yeah,
are.
because you,
I'm
all
so
people, wheelchair
impressed with your
should have one of those
professionalism.
futons. Thank you. And
And
they're
your
just taking them
love
in
and
there
aloha
and determining
and the
who they think
attitude
needs them.
for us
You
in
need it.
this
You wheelchair.
place.
Yeah.
And
Your
I feel
sister
so
needs it.
safe
She's
here.
wheelchair.
Do you
guys
guys
are
know
freezing.
that we
This
had
area
good
not
meals
clean.
down the road?
You have them here, right here.
Oh no. You like know what we served at our tent?
No, I don't.
My
Okay,
grandson
I'm gonna
is
turn
here
this
with
off.
his 8 kids.
You wanna say your name?
And
by
I
any
would
chance?
see them.
My name
use
is
the
Robin
futon
Melinda Taylor.
in their tent.
Nice to meet you, Robin. I'm
Get
Loki.
to have me.
I love you, Loki.
Put my
Love you
body
too.
on this.
But was taken to Wilcox Hospital, where she was released into the custody of Child Welfare Services. Kamalani Oliver says as a mother, this was a heartbreaking experience for her, and she says she hopes the child is released into the right hands.
I thank the good Lord that Miley was there and heard the baby's cries. You know, I have 8 kids of my own and 23 grandkids, so it's hard. We have to speak up for the baby.
That was Ashley Nagaoka reporting. Now, she tells us that police have opened an endangering the welfare of a minor investigation. No arrests have been made. Sources say the child is now with relatives.
In other news, the Department of Health is warning people to stay out of the water near O'Okala Town on the Big Island because of an untreated wastewater spill from the nearby dairy farm. Animal waste may have spilled into the Alaialoa Gulch Sunday night. Ka'oha'oha Gulch is also closed. The dairy has a history of spills. O'Okala residents have complained for years that it's making them sick.
Still ahead, a pile of nets that washed up on the Big Island is gone tonight. But wildlife experts are not happy about it. The story next on KGMB.
Aloha. You know, in the last few weeks, our state has really been hammered by natural disasters at both the north and south ends of our main islands. The Kauai flooding and the Kilauea lava breakouts in the Leilani Estate subdivision were extreme and extremely dangerous because the impact was impossible to predict with any precision. Now, those of us who have lived here long enough don't need reminders of how unpredictable and dangerous nature can be in a volcanic tropical state, isolated in the middle of the ocean. And we all know that none of us are safe from these kinds of unpredictable events. We can only be thankful that there's been no loss of life, which is no doubt due to the continuous state of vigilance that is part of life in Hawaii. Now, while these events demand a government that is ready and responsive, it should not be forgotten that we as a people have the responsibility to take care of ourselves and our huge visitor population. So for those impacted directly, the loss and damage to homes and property is tragic, and we wish you fast recovery, both physically and emotionally. And for the rest of us, let's support our neighbors, for who knows when we will be depending on them to support us.
Turning out to be a decent afternoon here on Oahu. It is breezy, it is a little on the cool side, and the humidity levels are comfortable. In fact, by tomorrow, we're expecting even more sunshine for Kauai and Oahu. Still going to be damp and cloudy for the east end of the state. We'll get those scattered showers, mainly for those windward areas. We even have some rain coming up from the south, but notice all the showers that you see are of the light variety, although we've had an abundance of rain up and down our windward side, more than an inch for some areas in the last 24 hours. So Kauai too getting some light showers, but again, tomorrow we're expecting a few more spots of sunshine for the west end of the state. Rainfall totals are still going to be rather skimpy, about 1/3 of an inch for Kauai and Oahu, a little bit more for the windward side of the Big Island. So the Pahoa area where the eruptions are happening, it'll be likely damp all day long and cloudy.